Hello, it looks like we are on. Hello, it is Wednesday. That is Livestream Wednesday. Here to talk about blogging, niche websites, progress, accountability. I'm going to drink coffee out of my very special Oregon State University mug. And if there are questions, comments, whatever, let's have at it. I'm here for an hour. Please, if you are here in the chat already, let me know that you can hear me, see me, so that I no longer have stress about whether or not my technology is working. Saying hey to the folks who are in the chat. I see John Morphus. What's going on? You're here early today, John. And I see Pete and Margaret. Thanks for dropping in, folks, and confirming that audio and video are good. You know what's funny is I was looking at this. It said 7 or 8 people were waiting, right? So I was like, ooh, 7 people. So I went and I clicked on, and the second I started streaming, they all went away, like except for Pete and John and Margaret, which is hilarious to me because they were what, like hanging out. They're like, "Oh, wait, I really didn't wanna do that. My bad." Anyway, it just cracks me up. Thank you. There's Derek. I am live, and you are here live too. I'm sorry I do not have the harmonica. Derek, my kids stole my, sound effects a while back, and it's been a while. I haven't replaced them with anything silly yet. Yep, wrong Amelia at 10 o'clock on Wednesday, like every other Wednesday ever. So today I have a couple things I want to talk about, but I also want to crowdsource and answer questions. If anybody is here who needs help with things, if I don't know, I will push it to the chat because let's face it, I don't know everything. If you are here, will you do me the favor of smashing the thumbs up button because it does make my heart feel warm and fuzzy. I have no idea if it does any other good for me anywhere. So what I was doing right before I hit the go live button, I was actually watching Income School's Jim and Ricky's last video together, like goodbye Jim video. And it made me think about when I got started online because I got started online a couple years ago before Income School really started taking off. And so it was back when they used to create really more entertaining type like creative content. It was back when I remember when the business taco video came out where they answered questions in the amount of time it would take them to eat a taco. And I remember thinking, man, that is super creative. Hey, Carl, what's going on? There's Donna Kay. Thanks for dropping in. Carl, I would just watch the last Income School, like joint Jim and Ricky video. And I was just kind of reminiscing for myself about my own personal journey. And I'd heard a bit, I'd heard that this was happening last week because they talked about it in their podcast. Hey, Chris, what's going on? And so I would really love to know, though, any of the folks who are Income School members, if you are here either live or on the replay, like what is the feeling about Jim leaving? Like, are the students feeling like upset? I mean, Jim and Ricky were a package deal, and like joining Income School, it was like Jim and Ricky. So, are people feeling kind of gypped, like they just joined, and then Jim is like, "Peace out," like, "See you later," like I'm just so curious. I mean, they say it's an amicable parting, and of course, skeptical me is like, sure, whatever. But Jim's got all these plans to go and work on Backfire. And Carl, I did see that you made a video. I have not had a chance to watch it yet. I'm like so far behind on my YouTube, but it's on my to-do list. Pete says long neck in the zoo. I don't know if I understand what that means. Do I have a long neck? Yes, so in the comments section or in the chat, folks, if you are in Income School, I would really love to know how you feel, or if you were considering joining Income School, will it change your feeling about joining? Like, would you rather not sign up now because Jim and Ricky are not like part of the deal anymore? I'm just really curious. Pete says, seemed like he was going to focus solely on Backfire. Guess he bought it out. Seems risky. Yeah, I mean, going back to the things that they say that they know. I mean, their deal was niche websites and now YouTube, and so going back to the basics, like it's not a terrible thing in my mind. Carl says, I think it's a blow for the business. Jim was a driving force to Income School. Ricky is very clever. I'm not sure he's the face of the YouTube channel, if you know what I mean. Yeah, well, the YouTube channel has expanded beyond Jim and Ricky, and maybe they don't necessarily need like the faces of them to carry things anymore because the business has grown so much and there are already so many students out there who can refer them business. I don't know. I just it's hard to think of Income School without Jim and Ricky. Carl says Jim was also the SEO expert as well. Margaret said that she renewed the day before the announcement. So how does that make you feel? Like, does it make you feel like they should have said something sooner? I don't know. I'm curious. Chris, long neck resides. Oh, got it. Calling out Chris for his niche safari. I would not have caught that. Derek says, I saw the video for Carl. Good send off. Margaret says, I'm sure they'd have given me a refund if I'd asked for it, but the community itself is worth it to me too. Totally, totally a good point. I mean, there's more to Income School than the people, right? Than to Jim and the Rick and the Jim and the Ricky, right? There's like all the content that was already created that Jim participated in. It's just it's the so many people buy because of the people, right? So there's the content and then the information, but then ultimately people invest in those mentors and those people. So it's really interesting. Sarah thinks, hey Sarah, that Jim had a better on-camera presence. I know I like there's Income School haters. Like I generally like their YouTube channel. Like I think that they're pretty good at marketing and kind of being themselves and I liked Ricky. I didn't think that like I don't know. Yeah. Jim's sites have been a success. Ricky's security site and follow-up site didn't perform. Not sure, not seen if he's stopped underperforming. Yeah, I guess I haven't followed their sites that closely, to be honest. Next gen, what's going on? I haven't seen you live in a while, so you'll have to let us know how things are going. Pete says that it's odd they relaunched the course and he leaves right after. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I just like suspicious me. It's like, oh, there's got to be more like behind the curtains that I'm just never gonna know because I'm not one of their business partners. Carl said, when they came to my home, Ricky was very quiet and shy. Jim seemed to be the driving force behind it all. Well, maybe without Jim, this will be the opportunity for Ricky to step it up, carry it. Let's see if he can carry it. I mean, I wish them all the best, right? Like this isn't me wishing and hoping that they won't do well. I want them to do well because a lot of the people in our communities are invested in this business. Like they have given them their money and are using their information to try and make something of this business. So I really do wish them well because I wish everybody um, to do well. Hey, Renat, what is going on? John says it will all work out. Dee says, hi, all. I got it. I can't get sound. Well, you can practice your lip reading. Carl says, I'll be the new face of Income School. I'm open to offers. It's like a mascot sort of thing. Like you get up there and like sing it like song and dance. Renat says, Ricky probably has the same knowledge at the moment, but it's Jim that has the eye for success. Yeah, I mean, I guess the time is going to tell us like how this is going to play out. Time will tell. Folks, if you are in the chat and you have not dropped a comment to let me know that you were here, welcome. If you are lurking, that's totally fine. If you are Adam from Niche Website Builders and you are lurking, shame on you for not telling us that you are here. And I'm going to bother you every single time I can because he's a lurker. You are a lurker, Adam. And it's okay, but I do get to call you out for your lurking every single time. Pete says, buying 1 to 2 year old student sites, making small money, and then using their content team to max them out is an easy win. Oh, absolutely. Carl says he can dance. What I want to know is what is Carl making for tea? Because it is that time of day, and usually right now Carl is making tea. So Carl, spill it. What are you making, and does it sound like something crazy English people eat? Derek says, I followed them for about 4 years, considered getting the course, but mostly for the community, not for the site building. Um, Donna thinks that their company will be fine. Fingers crossed that it is. Carl says, if I get a house like Jim has, I'll dance all day long. Hey, Mohammed, thanks for dropping in. Next Gen says things are good. 100% as planned so far in this year, which is awesome. Missed the streams due to time difference. Yeah, the time change for some folks depending on where they are in the world. It just doesn't line up, but it's good to see you. Uh, Carl says he's making quiche, homemade wedges, and salad. That sounds delicious. Can we come? Chris says, congratulations for not saying the T. I thought about it. I'm not going to lie. I thought about it. I literally was thinking, should I say T or the T? And I said T. People want to know what is in the quiche, Carl. And now so do I. I want to tell a short story that I think will people will find applicable to what it is that we are doing. And over the weekend, because it was a kids' weekend, and so I wasn't working on websites, I was out there in the world, and I went to what we call a tractor pull. Right? If you've never heard of a tractor pull, it is something that they do out here in the country, and it's very, America, right? It's like America. And a tractor pull, what they do is they have this sled, right? It's not even a tractor. They're not pulling tractors, but they have a sled, and the farther the sled goes, the heavier it gets. That's the technology, right? And so people have the ability to either hook up their amateur, like their own cars to it and see how far they can pull it, or people like soup up their trucks and tractors and things. And then it's a competition is how far can you pull this darn sled, right? It's seems ridiculous. It is ridiculous. I will tell you because like at the end of the night, the finale of this night was a modified tractor that had 5 engines and put out 8,000 horsepower. 8,000 horsepower. My first car put out 70, right? It basically shook. It felt like an earthquake was happening, right? And the kids were like, "Oh my god!" I'm like, "Your eardrums, plug your ears." Anyway, the roundabout setup for this story was that they had a class that was the mini tractors, right? And so they had a mini sled, and then they had these mini sort of dragster things, and there were young people in them, right? And what's funny about the tractor pull, you would imagine that it was all like guys like spitting tobacco and like swearing, but it was actually mostly women competing in this. And so the minis were actually mostly teenage girls. And so they got this girl out there and she was in this really sweet looking like mini tractor. The kids were like, "Oh, I want one." And she gets in there and she's revving it up and everybody's got their ears plugged like this and then she just killed it like ka-chung ka-chung, right? And she's on the stage basically in front of thousands of people and she kills it, right? And so everybody's like, "Oh, and then so they fired up again. Yes, it is like this is an American story, right? This is straight up America, right? Everybody like wearing like mullets and like the American flags everywhere and like I mean, it is pretty ridiculous. So they fire the thing up again, and everybody's like, "Oh, they know it's a kid, right?" And she's in front of everybody, and then this is gonna be it, and everybody backs up, and "Wah," and then the thing goes ka-chunk chunk, right? This happened 4 times, right? And you could see her in the thing, like throwing her hands up and like touching her helmet and like being really upset and it made me honestly think a lot about character and about websites, right? Like there are so many opportunities to quit, right? And that's one of the things about doing things on a public stage, right? Doing things here on YouTube, right? Because if you're in front of the public, quitting and saying, "Okay, I can't do this. I screwed up. I don't know enough about this. And I'll just quit," right? But because she was in front of thousands of people who were watching her and were like, like, "Come on, you can do it." Eventually, even though she's like crying, right? Like super upset and frustrated, and it was the worst day ever, she figured it out, right? So she went from like stalling it in front of thousands of people to actually getting the timing right and dragging that ridiculous sled across the dirt, and it was like 15 seconds worth of woo. and she got to drive out of there, but, like, had success even though it was pretty darn terrible for a while, and it was embarrassing, for a while, like, it was really awful, and so I'm thinking about I honestly was watching this and thinking about all of the new YouTubers who have recently started sites and have jumped here on YouTube, and maybe they're not doing it perfectly, right? Maybe they're not doing it the same way Jim and Ricky would do it or the same way that these other really successful people are doing it. I mean, they feel like they're like jumping in and like trying to get in there with the people who are way better than them. And why would people bother like wanting to come to their channel and follow along with them and learn with them? And I just remember thinking like, man, what a character building experience, right? To like go out there and just stick with it and keep hammering it until it happens, until you get it right. And then, right, she like took off. Like she had a great run after that. And I feel like websites, like my personal website experience has been a lot like that. Like fail, fail, publicly, like not have things take off, like maybe talk about things that I don't know that much about and have people question whether or not I know what I'm doing. And then to finally, because it just couldn't give up because I'm here in the public doing this and I'm too proud or stupid to quit or I can't stop. And it just I don't know, it was really interesting. One, to go to a tractor pull, was ridiculous in itself. And actually on this channel, I might just go over there. I posted like a 30-second video of one of the runs, and I'm going to go and make it public for just for this hour. I'm gonna maybe for a day. I'm gonna go and do it. I'm gonna make it public and because it's unlisted because I just showed it to some folks in a Discord, so I'm making it public right now, and the title of the video is I went to a tractor pull. And in fact, if you would like to jump from this stream and go watch that video and then come back, you will totally understand what it is that this poor girl was going through and what that looked like. I won't be offended. I am going to take it down though because it does not fit this channel at all. Anyway, that was story time. And Derek says this is Amelia's next niche. And actually, I want to plug one of the videos that I created earlier in the year about niche selection. And people say, "Oh, I don't know what niche to pick because they're just spending all their time online looking for niches." Going out into the world, into events like that tractor pull, there were niches like all over this place. Like not just the tractor pull, but the various machines and then the like all the gadgets and tools that people were using and then the things that people were wearing. And I mean, it's just there were niches everywhere, right? You're like, oh, I can make a site about that. These people are so passionate about this ridiculous sport that they call it a sport. They get into a tractor or a truck and drive it pulling a sled and they call it a sport, right? Those people would spend money. They are spending thousands of dollars. And you know how much the winner of this tractor pull, how much first prize was worth? It was $300. That's what the winner of this event got. They spent 20, 30, 40, 50, hundreds of thousands of dollars on these vehicles to win $300. You wanna talk about passion? Right there. How many people have a tractor pull, like, fan site? That's a niche. It's totally a niche. I don't know anything about it aside from the fact that my eardrums are still ringing, but I think it's interesting. Going back to the chat because I lost the chat. Chris is mentioned that we should plug the drawing board, and it's actually on my list. The drawing board podcast. The link is in the description of this video. We do have a new episode out this week. What did Chris want me to mention? Oh, we are now approved for iTunes, so it's available on podcast players as well as YouTube. So the link to YouTube is in the description. But if you search the Drawing Board Podcast with Amelia and Chris, you should be able to find it. And I thought it should be Chris and Amelia, but Chris said Amelia and Chris. So it makes it sound like I do more in the podcast. And I really don't. I just go there and be myself. I've lost the chat because I was in story time Smash the like button while you're here. It makes my heart happy. Chris says, don't underestimate the quiet person. Jim often spoke over Ricky and didn't let him get a word in, so it's hard to judge his knowledge and skills. I mean, who knows, right? Who knows how much Jim was the guiding force behind what was produced? So we're going to see if things change or are different. About the quiche, Carl says that he put in just cheese and onion. Boring, but the kids won't eat anything else. I hope there's at least some salt. D says it's dinner anyway, so don't worry about the using a preposition on tea. Everybody's going to call it something different. John says, have you ever been to lawnmower races? And I have not, but I was honestly kind of hoping that they were going to do some because they had a bunch of little machines like set up. And I was like, ooh, maybe they're going to race them, but they never did. No, they just blew out our eardrums with multiple engines. That last like finale thing had 5 full-size engines on it. They had to start them up one at a time. And it's like there was rocks like rumbling. It was very America. There's Sabina. What's going on? Love you too. Thanks for dropping in. Love to see you here on Wednesdays. And if you have your questions, throw them in the chat because I will ask everybody else to help me answer them. Next Gen says, thanks for the last video. I wanted to explore writer access. Just now had a demo call with them. Can you share your details with your experiences with them? So far, I'm still using them. I started using them monthly in April, and I think what you need to do is just plan for there to be sort of a breaking in period. It takes a while to find the people and the people to find you who will write for you. So some people focus on building like a team of their own, and so they can push content specifically to them. But people also find you. So even if you didn't create a team that you publish things specifically, like they wait for you to publish articles maybe to the crowd because they want to jump on them because they want to write on those topics. So I haven't had any trouble finding people to write on the stuff that I have. One thing I did notice in another person who had an experience, and I'm not going to call this person out, but how long you give the writers to be able to respond and to produce content for you um, can restrict how many people will write, right? So if you say, okay, I need content in 2 days, then your article might not find a writer. Somebody might not pick it up, but if you give them 7 to 10 days, odds are that the article will get picked up right away or be more likely to get picked up right away. And the content will be better overall because people have more time to work on it. Generally, people will take as long as time as you give them. So and and with writer access, if you pick up an article and then cannot get the content done in time and end up dropping it, they get strikes for that, and they only get a couple strikes before they get banned off the platform. So they really won't pick up something if they aren't 100% sure that they can actually get to it or return it to the queue in a reasonable amount of time so that somebody else can pick it up. So as far as tips go, I mean, I think having a good SOP, like a good description of what it is that you want, like the ideal article will have specific things 1 2 3 4 5 A B C D, those specific things that you want, because a lot of times they will follow those things to the letter, like very very closely. But if you leave it very broad and open, I don't know what you'll get. They'll just do their best, and sometimes their best isn't what you had in mind. So for now, like the primary things that I've learned from using writer access is, one, I don't worry about building a team. Two, give them enough time so that quality writers can find your article and also turn it in, because otherwise it won't get picked up. And three, be really clear in your instructions. Like you have a section that just has what it is that you want, because otherwise it you may not get what you want and you'll be grumpy, right? You'll be like, oh, I wasted my money. The writers are bad. But truly, a lot of times it comes down to us. Like, how much guidance did we give them? And was that guidance helpful? And so far, that's what I've learned. I'm still investing about $500 a month in content through them. And yeah, I mean, I'm planning on continuing to do that for the near future. So we'll see how it goes. Uh, my tractor pull story was the most American story ever. I think I read that comment already, but it is America, only in America. That's right. Dee says that she's looking forward to the next podcast. Speaking of which, Chris, when are we going to work on future content, future episodes. I don't know when that I don't have that on my schedule. He says, Dee said that they listened to it with a pen and paper. All right, hands down, one of the most implementable, informative podcasts ever. Yes, I'd like to just like, I participated in that. That's right. Carl says, back to income school. Oh my goodness, the chat disappeared. Income school set the bar high, but everyone has their own personality and experiences and can bring something to the table. My best videos are all about my failures. Yeah, well, I think it's more relatable because very few people have those amazing, like over the top experiences. And most people who are on YouTube right now hunting for content are in the struggle phase. And so that stuff is relatable because they're struggling. Carl, did you did you go and look at the video? He says the yellow car looks like our car when my wife on the back, wheels only. That was my favorite one. That one that the video that is on the channel. That yeah. And if anybody wants the link to it, I can drop it in the comments if people haven't found it yet. Chris says, thanks for the feedback. I see that you commented. I need to log into that YouTube channel and reply. Yeah, I love positive praise, so feel free to sprinkle it. No need to reply. She says, I like to add a comment and support them. John says, is it on Spotify? I don't know. I hope that Chris responded later in that because I don't know yet. He says that it is. Okay. Carl says he's got to go. Tea's ready. We will always have fun. I'll speak to you on Friday. Yes, we need to figure out a time, Carl, if you heard that before you left. Um, let's see. Dee says, do you do a full content brief with all the H2s and H3s? I do not do a full content brief with the H2s and H3s because I like to do those myself. Um, right now I'm doing mostly like a similar template with versus keywords. So I don't need to put those in because I know what they're going to be already. I know what the H2 is and then all the various ones. So it doesn't, but I mean, I suppose that I could, and I think that those writers would figure it out. It's just for formatting issues because I copy and paste it over. Oftentimes I have to go in and format the H2s anyway. And there probably is a better way. That's the way I do it. And so if I'm already going to be touching it anyway, I just might as well do it. Sabina says, questions. Right now, I just need encouragement. I sure hope that you heard my story time about going to the tractor pull. And if you haven't, Sabina, then you'll need to go around and listen to it again because that was my motivation for the day. She says, I'm sure I'm not doing everything right. I just need to keep going. Yes, truly. That's it. You just need to keep going and not give up. I think that's what the big dogs have that the rest of us don't. It's just they've been in it longer and they just keep going. Like truly. Dee says, cannot, yep. Hey, Sabina inspires me too. Just keep plugging along, even though things are hard. Yes. Shrikant says, hey, I'm from India and I want to start blogging. Should I start it or not? Please suggest me. My answer is yes, but you're going to get that answer from a group of bloggers who are blogging, who think that blogging is worthwhile. So I can't imagine anybody in this group saying, no, don't. Why would you do that? Because that's what we're all doing. So, Bara says, how many content is minimum needed to get to $1,000 mark? It depends on what you're creating, and I think people are really obsessed with the earnings part of it. And it's hard not to, right? Because that's why we all get into this. We got into it because we want to make money so that we can live lives our own ways. Some people with an affiliate site can make $1,000 a month with not very many posts. I focus on content that is info content that makes money with ads. So I need a lot of posts. I think that it would be hard to make $1,000 a month with less than 200 to 300 posts. I'm aiming for many more than that. Like the site that I started in January, I'm trying to get to 500 posts in a year because I think that that will give me the best chance of getting to $1,000 a month. Maybe by the end of the year, but at least sometime early next year, and hopefully it will go beyond that. But for me, that's the fastest way to get to $1,000 a month is to publish and publish and publish a lot. Adrian is dropping in from Iceland. Man, I cannot believe you are on vacation in Iceland and dropping in on the stream. That would get you the pat on the back and the sound effects if I had them. I cannot wait to hear about the trip. I mean, that's the this lifestyle, right? Is if you're blogging and making money, then you could go and do things like go to Iceland or take your kids to a tractor pull. For real. Can you give me some tips? My tips are usually centered around getting started and learn from your mistakes. Truly, my entire online persona and everything that I've done, if I were to start a course, it would literally be like, go get a domain, do it wrong, try again, get hosting, throw your laptop through the window, go outside and bring it back, and then try again, and then start writing content, and then do it wrong, and then figure out what was wrong, and then do it again. And then over time, it just gets better and it gets easier. Literally like just start. I mean, and that's not unique to me. I didn't come up with that clearly, but it's the thing that works. People spend too much time like trying to figure out how to do it and the best way to do it, and truly, you just have to start. Like that's what you got to do. John says that he's too stubborn to quit, and that, my friend, is why you will succeed. Pete says to Goyle that Google will require a couple months to notice a new site, publish good quality content as often as possible, and be patient. Yes. Persistent and consistent, right? Persistent meaning don't stop, and consistent means consistent effort, like lots of effort, like all the time effort without breaks. Let's see. Next Gen is also from India, and he says you should do it. Dev BB says, "Hey Amelia, do you stream this time every Wednesday? And how are you?" I stream just about every Wednesday that I can. I think I've missed maybe once this year, maybe twice. But yes, at the same time, same channel, same everything. Sometimes even the same sweatshirt, because why not? John says, "I wish I would have found your channel sooner. As if you can jump on the Mega site bandwagon anytime." Seriously, like people jump into the spreadsheet and then go. If you want to like start from scratch, why don't you plan for January? Because in November, December, I probably will do a big push to try to get people to do a new site with me in January again. So, because I want to start two sites a year, because eventually in a couple years, I would like to have some sites to sell. So if I start two sites a year, then eventually, maybe once a year, I will have something to sell. So plan on that, John. You can start with us in January if you want to start from scratch then. Sabina says, "Okay, question for the group. Can I just not count those months where nothing was indexed so I can pretend I am in month 5 instead of 8? Thank you." Well, what's the point? Why because it maybe it makes you feel better? Maybe it makes you feel like more competent? Like who cares? Who cares? The first year is terrible. You're learning. I will proudly say that I started a site publicly in 2019 and it grew for a while and I thought I was on cloud 9 and then it got slaughtered. That site is what, 2 years old and it currently makes $60 a month. I did that. Not only that, that site has 300 pieces of content on it that makes $60 a month. So what? Apparently I had more stuff to learn. I don't know. I like it's okay. It's okay. Vera says, "Please tell me how you do keyword research." I actually covered this a lot in last week's live stream, but pretty much, and because I was able to break it down, I go to Google Analytics and I see like my top 10 to 20 posts and I look for a good keyword that it's already ranking like a C keyword. Then I go to Answer Socrates and I put that C keyword in there and look for other related topics. I pick one of those topics and I go to Google and I search it. And I use what's my SERP to kind of gauge like whether or not there's volume. I ignore the CPC, but I sometimes ignore too like the results. I just want to know, does it appear over there? And then I check the results. Is there a user-generated content on page 1? Pinterest, forums, et cetera, et cetera. If there's some volume and it is related to a piece that is already ranking and it has user-generated content on page 1, anywhere on page 1, I'll write about it. That's pretty much it. Let's see. Sarah says, I truly believe if you work hard and keep learning, you can succeed in this business. 100%. I concur with exactly that. Totally no. Pete says, add yourself to the mega spreadsheet. You don't have to wait until next January. Totally. Totally, absolutely. What else did I want to mention today? Ooh, last week. Oh, okay. So last week, somebody asked me a question on the YouTube channel. They wanted to know about my Core Web Vital scores because they seemed sort of ridiculous. Because on my monthly update video, I mentioned that those were in the low 90s. So like 91, 92. Mobile was, I think the last couple days was 92 and desktop was 91. I will say that I added the related content plugin because I wanted to see if adding that would, like, to the Mega site, right? I have all these posts and I have like 200 some posts now and like trying to figure out could I make more money with the traffic that I already had? And I was concerned about adding additional plugins because I didn't want to screw with my Core Web Vitals scores. So I added the related content plugin because I was curious about what it would do. And I logged into Leap, into Zoic, and then looked at Leap this morning. And so far, everything is still green because everything was green before. And I checked Google Search Console, everything is still green. Desktop dropped to 89 and mobile dropped to 90. So, the related content plugin is either yellow or red in the technologies section of Leap. But basically the result is adding the related content plugin really did nothing otherwise, like any other stat, right? Like time spent on the site or additional page views. Like I could find no discernible improvement whatsoever for adding the related content plugin. I was wondering if there's anybody out there in the chat who actually can tell one way or another whether having that related content block at the bottom does anything good for them. Because I've used it a couple times before and I'm not noticing anything good from it now. And I just want to delete it because it's not really doing a whole lot like negative to my scores, in GSC or in Leap, but at the same time, like if it's not helping, then I don't get rid of it. So to the chat, if you're here live or on the replay, please let me know. Dev BB says, speaking of hosting, what do you think about the static site hosting like Netify with it being free? I'm starting here. I use SiteGround and I use WPX. I have used Bluehost in the past. I've also used DreamHost. I'm not the hosting expert. In general, people say, what hosting should I use? And I would say the one you can afford to get started. And then once you're a year in and you're making a little bit of money, you can do some more research and upgrade. It doesn't really matter. The hosting choice in the beginning when your site is brand new and is getting no traffic really doesn't matter all that much. The hosting is not going to determine whether or not your keyword research is good or bad. And your keyword research and your niche selection, those things are what will determine whether or not your site gets organic traffic early on. So, as for hosting, just pick one. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. Next year, it might matter. It may, especially if you're having a lot of traffic coming through the site and you start worrying about core vitals. But for now, it's like dentists, right? They say, oh, what's the best toothpaste or what's the best toothbrush? And dentists say the best toothbrush out there is the one that you use. End of story. The best hosting for when you are starting out is the one that you use. It doesn't matter, in my opinion. Derek says, talking to Sabina, I think I lost the track. Things getting in. They're talking about indexing, and I'm totally behind. Donna K talks about keeping going. Just keep going. Yes. Yes. High five on that. High five. Let's see. Has anybody tried Ezoic's free hosting yet? D is asking. I have not. So if anybody out there in the chat has tried it, I would love to know what you think, and so would D. John says, "Don't worry about the month you are in, just keep writing content. Google will eventually get it together." And that is true. Absolutely true. D says, "I'm all in for Amiga 2022. Cannot start any more sites this year." Yep, I am not starting any more anything either until January. So I'm going to just work on the two that I have started this year, and then we'll see what happens in January. Uh, Sabina, you cannot succeed without failing. 100% true. In this business, especially, the fails are where you learn, and it's painful, sometimes publicly painful, but that's how we are going to get there. I just want to know if I'm failing or not. If you are here every day and trying, you are not failing. Maybe the results are not what you want, but those are not failing. And who cares, right? If you're committed to just coming back tomorrow and the day after and the day after and the day after and learning something all the time, that question you'll be able to answer yourself. Probably 30 days from now, you'll look back at where you are right now, feeling tired and frustrated, and think, what was I thinking? But because you continued on and soldiered on for another month, just think about where you'll be. D says that I have every faith in you, then you will not be failing. Just give it time. Yep. If you are impatient, like me, let's face it, I am extremely impatient as far as growth. Like my Mega site, right? I logged in to the thing here, and the Mega site crossed 30,000 page views in the last 30 days. And you know what? I was grumpy in month 7.5. I'm like feeling grumpy about it because it's only at 30,000, because I have this thing in my mind that month 8 was going to be like this, like hockey stick, like month. It's not happening. Is that a fail? No, it's just me being impatient, and I have these expectations that I have not been able to meet. Mm. User generated content, bar says, okay, do you check DA and PA of the site? I don't. I look to see, is the user able to create content on its own, on his or her own, without the owner or the webmaster of the site creating it? So forums. I honestly do not check the DA or the PA of anything, because I feel like if it is user generated content, then I have the ability to write a good article and potentially outrank that. And so far, I'm seeing positively that that is working out for me. There's Stiggs. Hello, webmasters, and Chris. Derek says, "You are way ahead of people who have never started." And you know what? Most people sit on the sidelines and lurk and dream. So taking action is taking a risk, but you are in a really small percentage of people who have decided to go in on this. You should be proud of that. But yeah, it's not going to be easy. And we don't want it to be easy, because if it was really easy, then everybody would do it and it would be really hard to succeed here. So the hard part, if you can think about it, if you can like change your perspective, the hard part is a good thing, because it is a threshold, a hurdle, something that people who don't want to work hard won't get over. And it makes things much easier for us. Renat says related content block does almost nothing. And so far, I concur. Pete says giraffes in a separate category. Pete says I manually add related links, not a plugin. Yeah, that's generally what I do. And I just was like, I don't know, could this work? Would this help? So far, I'm not seeing anything worthwhile. I'm way behind in the chat. Sarah says, I know it's frustrating. I'm in the first year too. I figure at this point I'll have more failures than wins and not make much money, but keep going. Celebrate the wins, learn from the fails. Yes, there is money coming if you stick with it. It's just sticking with it and being persistent, stubborn. I'm too stupid to stop at this point. I'm like, I'm all in. D says, related content is an interesting question. I don't know from a Core Vitals point of view, but as a user, I love being able to click from one article to the next. Yeah, so that's kind of what I think too, right? But putting it on the site, maybe it's just this site. Like I'm not seeing a discernible difference. It could be that people who go to the Mega site, they have this really specific question, they get that answer, and then they aren't distracted by other related content. Maybe they don't want to learn any more about fence boards because I'm looking at the fence out my window. They've got it. Maybe they just want to browse now rather than being directed to content specific to what I've got there. I don't know. Deb BB says, thanks. I just have one more question. Have you built any sites without a CMS? I have not. Nope. I am straight up tech phobe. I'm sure other people have. Not me. I write content. I hit publish. That's literally the extent of my skills. Content, publish. Marika, hey, what's going on? She says, we learn as we make mistakes, especially when we start out. I have made a lot of mistakes and I keep writing content. Pete says related posts does increase his page views. Aha. Hey, Gabrielle, we have not seen you in a while. You'll have to let us know how things are going for you. Pete says interlinking inside the content also helps. Chris said Amelia and Friends should totally be this channel's name. I don't know. What do people think? Amelia and Friends. I'm going to write that down because I kind of like it. Amelia and Friends. Now I kind of want to leave the tractor pull video up there just because it's like this random thing. Muhammad says, I made no money for 2 years straight before my first dollar, so keep at it. And Pete says, seconded. Muhammad is Mr. Patience. You get the MVP today. Yep, it takes a while. It absolutely takes a while. Year one, I did not make, I lost money in year one. Year two, I made some money, but not very much. Year three is where things really started to mesh and work. You think, okay, can I hang on and just keep doing this for 2 years? And if the answer is sure, yeah, I could do that, then think of it like I don't understand why people will go to college, right? They'll go to college and they'll spend anywhere between like five and $50,000 a year and make zero money, and then come out with this huge debt and go to work and then be okay with it. Whereas you've started a new business, like basically a new, whole new career online, and expect to make money in the first month. Why not give yourself 4 years of investing in yourself, in resources and experience, and then start worrying about, oh my God, I haven't made any money yet. Like it's a big deal at that point. But we have this expectation because making money online is perceived to be like the shortcut, easy. Why not think of it like going to college, where you give yourself a couple years to actually learn something new, like a new business, before you start thinking, okay, this is not working, I should quit. Margaret says only 30,000 page views. It's like the wheels came off the tractor. I don't know. I feel like it should be like just like it that's what I want. I just want the like that's I just want that, like the hockey stick. I just want to be able to look at Google Analytics and just see like and then just like "Ah, is that so wrong? That's that's what I want." Bara says, please share some data about your content length. In general, I just try to write. I focus on two things. One is answering the question as succinctly as possible. And two, I look to see what the number one ranking posts, one, two, and three are doing. And if the number one, two, and three posts have written like super guides, it used to be that I would ignore them because the advice used to be that just to write more than the number one site is written. But lately, I'm hearing a lot of talk about people just focusing on answering the question and worrying less about content length and still being able to outrank some of those bigger posts because the content is so on point that Google is starting to reward those sites even with shorter content. And I think it's something worth experimenting on. And in general, for folks who are like really obsessed with just writing more, more doesn't always mean better. You say, okay, I need to write the like a better article than whoever's ranking one, two, or three. Better does not mean more. Better means answers the question better, maybe more succinctly, maybe without the fluff and the garbage, just gets the user what it is that they want. It doesn't necessarily mean more content. So I don't worry about content length anymore. Period. Let's see. Sabina says, "Yeah, the first business book I read was The Dip. So good. Every time it gets hard, I remember that some people are quitting. They're quitting left and right. They're quitting all like do do. Sometimes you can even see them. People who were active on YouTube who just said, "Pff, not gonna work." It's all right. Like people can make their own choices and stuff. And sometimes from having done it publicly, but still, it's if we just stick it out, we'll get there. Pete says, celebrate the tiny wins because they will be tiny for a good while. Yes. Derek says, the topic determines the length. No one needs 5,000 words on picking a plunger. Maybe you don't. Maybe somebody like me does. I like really like to delve in and know more about the tools that I buy. Let's see. Oh, I was gonna ask. I had like a pretty significant RPM spike over the weekend. I was wondering if anybody else had one over the weekend and if it has continued, right? Because I had a spike like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, going from 13 $14 on the mega site to like around $20, which was really nice actually, because it meant that I broke $20 in a day for the first time on the mega site, which was like, I know, right? I should, why it is that I feel grumpy and unsatisfied with the progress of the site when I had my first $20 day. In fact, I had a $25 day in ads on the Mega site because that was Saturday and Sunday when the ad revenues, the RPMs were like, so the at my ad like revenue graph goes like this, like and then it has like this. Yet I'm still not satisfied because Google Analytics doesn't have like this. Renat says, I had a spike of 50% in EPMV and now it's just 2 days lower as normal. Yeah, back to normal for me. And I just wish that it would have stayed at the enhanced RPM because it was so enjoyable to log in and be like, ooh, look at all the money. Not that $20 is a lot of money, but still, I don't know. I just like signs of progress. It gets me back to my computer, gets me there. Stig says 300 posts, $60. Are you getting a penny per thousand views from AdSense? Nah, it's on Ezoic. Just the posts that are ranking. The traffic is just doesn't make a lot. It's the RPM is just so low. I did that. Yep, I worked my tail off to create a site that makes $60 a month. Yeah, that would be a video series is resurrecting my 2019 case study. Maybe that's what I'll do in 2022 is try to look at a site that bombed and can I fix it? That'd be fun. Um, Bara says, I mean, just tell me a number. Like, what is your average post length? Post length average. All right. Well, I don't aim for an average length, but I'm going to go log in to the Mega site and I will look at the WP word count plugin, and I will tell you what it is that the average post length on the Mega site is currently 1,161 words. That is the average. So that means that I have posts that are more than that and less than that. And that is for 263 posts. So I hope that helps. Pete says, I typically see a bunch of big brands ranking for general content. That means Google couldn't find laser focused content to answer the query. When content is longer but a broader topic, shorter could be fine. Margaret says that for her, spiked at the weekend on 2 sites. That was not usual. Yeah, it wasn't usual for me either. Pete says, then low DA puts SmackDown on DA 75 beasts. Yes. Yes, that can happen. Stiggs wants to know how many of those posts are on page 1. Well, let me go to SERP Robot, which is the only way I know. let's see. I have 263 posts and only 246 of my keywords targeted entered in SERP Robot. And so of the 246 that are entered, 89 of those are in the top 3 and 148 of those are on page 1. So, um, over half over half of my keywords are on page 1 at this time. You can take that for I don't know how helpful that is. Hey, Sue, how's it going? It's good to see you. I haven't caught up with you in a while. Let's see. Thanks for your effort. Love you. Yep. Awesome. Let's see. Stig says, check Google Search Console and see what Google is serving you up for. I have checked that, and I have not been putting like those over there to track them specifically. I definitely can see what site, like what pages are getting clicks, but I honestly don't track those specific keywords. Like I don't go to GSC and see what other long tail keywords I'm getting traffic for and moving them over to SERP Robot. I guess I could do that if I wanted to get an idea of how those keywords are performing, and it actually might be a good idea for the top ones, especially if I lose traffic from those keywords in particular. But that's a good idea. I just don't want to buy more robots. Uh, so yeah, I'm holy cow, it is like top of the hour. Holy cow. This is a last quick plug for the Drawing Board podcast with a project that I'm doing in collaboration with Niche Safari Chris. The link is in the description. If you want to try Zoic and you have a small site, the link to access now is down in the, it's an affiliate link. It's down in the description as well. If you want to get access to Leap or anything else that I've talked about today, I'm planning on being here next week on Wednesday. Hopefully between now and then, I will do something fun and have more stories to tell. Did I watch Sean's video? And we were talking about that last week. And yes, I did. And then had some spirited discussions about army ants, basically all the rest of the day. Folks, I look forward to speaking with you next week. It's been really fun today, and I will talk with you soon. Take care.